What's happening, folks? Back with another reaction, back with some more Gordon Lightfoot as we continue through the complete greatest hits of Gordon Lightfoot compilation. Thank you again to Yvonne. And the next track, I believe, is a pretty big tune in his discography, certainly one that is in the popular culture, more on that in a moment, but The Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald. Now, I remember talking to a good friend of the channel, someone I haven't talked to in a while, David, a Canadian friend of mine who is a techno DJ. That's how we initially began discussing music, but he also talked about the Tragically Hip and Gordon Lightfoot, and in particular I remember him mentioning this song, which I don't think I've ever heard before, but I've been aware of for a while, and even before I talked to David. But yes, he mentioned that this song came out shortly after the Edmund Fitzgerald had sunk in, I believe, Lake Superior in the mid-70s, and I think everyone aboard died. I think there were like 30 people, maybe 29 people. And yes, he mentioned that this was a tune that really struck a chord and drew attention to the tragedy in a way that maybe it would not have occurred had this song not become a phenomenon. And the reason I know it's entered the popular culture and the place where I heard about it before I talked to David, I've been a fan of Seinfeld going back to the end of its run. I didn't watch it in the first few years, but by the time it was in its last couple seasons, I had started to watch it and eventually got a DVD box set of the entire show. And there's an episode, I couldn't tell you what episode or even necessarily what season, though I want to say probably somewhere between like seasons 5 and 7, where they're in Jerry's apartment and they're having this snappy kind of back and forth conversation, and this song comes up, but they're debating it, and they're like, wait, no, I think Gordon Lightfoot was the boat, and so on. And it's a bit of a silly conversation. But I remember then, like, oh, okay, like, the Gordon Lightfoot, that name sounds familiar, and then I remembered there's a Mystery Science Theater 3000 episode where they make reference to Gordon Lightfoot. It's an episode shot in Canada, which would make sense. But yes, it's a name, this song, which I had heard going back a long time, but as far as I know, I've never actually listened to it, so I'm excited to hear a singer-songwriter storytelling account of this maritime tragedy. Let's listen to it. This is Gordon Lightfoot. The song is The Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald, and it's included on the Complete Greatest Hits of Gordon Lightfoot compilation.
The legend lives on from the Chippewa on down at the big lake they call Gitchagumi. The lake, it is said, never gives up her dead when the skies of November turn gloomy. With a load of iron ore, 26,000 tons more than the Edmund Fitzgerald weighed empty. That good ship and true was a bone to be chewed when the gales of November came early. The ship was the pride of the American side, coming back from some mill in Wisconsin. As the big freighters go, it was bigger than most, with a crew and good captain well seasoned, concluding some terms with a couple of steel firms when they left fully loaded for Cleveland. Then later that night when the ship's bell rang, could it be the north wind they'd been feeling? The wind in the wires made a tattletale sound, and the wave broke over the railing. And every man knew, as the captain did too, 'twas the witch of November come stealing. The dawn came late and the breakfast had to wait when the gales of November came slashing. When afternoon came, it was freezing rain in the face of a hurricane west wind. it's too rough to feed you. At 7 p.m. a main hatchway caved in. He said, fellas, it's been good to know ya. The captain wired in, he had water coming in, and the good ship and crew was in peril. And later that night when his lights went out of sight, came the wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald. Does anyone know where the love of God goes when the waves turn the minutes to hours? The searchers all say they'd have made Whitefish Bay if they'd put 15 more miles behind her. They might have split up or they might have capsized. They may have broke deep and took water. And all that remains is the faces and the names of the wives and the sons and the daughters. Lake Huron rolls Superior sings in the rooms of her ice water mansion. Old Michigan steams like a young man's dreams. The islands and bays are for sportsmen. And farther below, Lake Ontario takes in what Lake Erie can send her. And the iron boats go as the mariners all know, with the gales of November remembered. In a musty old hall in Detroit they prayed in the Maritime Sailors' Cathedral. The church bell chimed till it rang 29 times for each man on the Edmund Fitzgerald. The legend lives on from the Chippewa on down of the big lake they call Gitchagumi. Superior, they said, never gives up her dead when the gales of November come early.
Man, I could have listened to another verse or two of that. It's really a song where I understand the reputation. I mean, a lot to say here. First, what a poetic and hauntingly beautiful line that Lake Superior, and what is the name? I assume it's like the First Nation name for the lake. It's like Chigoni, something like that. But that it doesn't give up its dead when the gales of November come early. And again, gale force winds and essentially like a hurricane and the rain, like the scene painting for the moment when everything goes down. And it seems to go bad very quickly. It's like, you know, the announcement, we can't feed you in the mess hall yet because, you know, we're dealing with weather. And then shortly after that, it's like, well, you know, I forget, like the hatch is broken or something, and it's like, well, it was nice to know you. And, you know, the line, something like, you know, and the captain was aware that the ship and crew were in peril, and then it all seems to, you know, go under very quickly. But yeah, what a line that was. And the singing it's very much in that guitar poet storytelling mode where it's lyrical, but you're really just focused on the words. It's like, it's the type of singing where you don't have to second guess what you're hearing because it's, big, expressive, and, it's a very simple vocal delivery, which I think works perfect for the song. And there is also this sense of, like, honoring the victims, which again, there's a line about, which I assume is based on what actually happened, that there's a church where I guess, it's a church frequented by mariners, but yeah, the bell rang 29 times for all those who lost their lives in the tragedy. But I do very much enjoy the dual guitars. There's the, again, sort of lyrical playing, the strumming of the acoustic guitar mixed with the more pointed electric guitar lines that come in what essentially feels like the chorus, even though it's more of like an instrumental interlude. But I enjoy when they're both working together, that acoustic guitar rhythm with the more expressive and melodic electric guitar. And yeah, again, as someone who, wasn't aware about this, I was born in '80, so I was born after it happened. I think it was mid-'70s. But it's not something that was, on my radar. Now, I'm out here in California, maybe that's part of it. Regionally, it's pretty far away from me. But secondarily, as I said, it does seem like this song is part of what made people outside of the region aware of it. And I imagine it is a song that, again, because it makes reference to the only thing remaining is the faces of the friends, the family, the people affected by this tragedy outside of those who died. And so I imagine, people connected to the tragedy would have been appreciative of a song, commemorating, memorializing what happened. So yeah, it's a really good tune, and one that, as I said, I do understand why this would have entered the popular culture and thus been referenced in things like Mystery Science Theater and Seinfeld, as I said. So yes, ultimately a tune that lived up to its reputation. Let me know what you think of this one, and I will see you next time. Peace.